Hello everyone, and welcome to today's discussion: ethics and observability in the world of AI. For the first time, humanity has created something capable of independent thoughts and decision making, fundamentally altering our computational paradigm. While in the past we have built tools to assist or augment our work, nothing has had this unique power. Integrating AI into our application and business presents both incredible opportunities and significant real world challenges. The good thing about today's discussion is this isn't just a theoretical one. Rather, it's about tackling the real world challenges of balancing innovation with responsibility. All of us aim to use AI's full potential, pushing boundaries and driving change, while also putting strong ethical safeguards in place and protecting our brand and users. This is crucial and delicate balance is what we'll be exploring today. We face important questions such as how are we how can we reliably spot AI hallucinations? How can we protect against prompt injection, harmful manipulation? How do we stop models from leaking sensitive data, whether it's personal information or valuable intellectual property? These are not just technical concerns, these are ethical problems that directly affect trust, reputation, and business success. And they are at the heart of the practical conversation we are going to have today. I'm thrilled to introduce our incredible panelist, Avi, our own subject matter expert, Dr. Shivani, a renowned industry expert in this field, and joining us to give a global perspective, we have Tenu, our data studio partner. I myself also will be jumping into the discussion today, sharing some of our own experience and how Globant Enterprise AI are helping us navigate these exciting challenges and practice. Thank you everyone for joining today. To start from you, Avi, beyond the abstract principles, how do you define ethics in AI from a more practical and implementable standpoint?
Thank you, Jyothish, and a very good morning, good evening to everyone based on where you're joining from. First of all, I'm thrilled to be here today to dive into a topic that is not just timely, but I think it is absolutely critical as well. Ethics and observability is the foundation of what I call as building for responsible systems. I want to start with, picturing a scenario where, let's say, you're driving a self-driving car that doesn't just get confused between a pedestrian and a lamppost, but also thinks both are optional. That is not just a bug; that is an ethical oversight. So we often build AI systems to be efficient regulators, fast, smart, data-driven. But ethics, transparency, that is like trying to install a conscience in a calculator. So today, I think let's dig into the hard truth. If we don't explicitly demand ethical AI, we'll end up with fast, efficient sociopaths. And no, I'm not just talking about algorithmic trading bots here. So we are here today because we have reached to a fascinating paradox in AI development, where we build systems so sophisticated that they can write poetry, diagnose diseases, and drive cars. Yet we often have no idea, or less idea, I should say, how they are making these decisions. It is like having a brilliant employee who never shows their work, but occasionally goes rogue. And this brings me to what I call as the trust equation, which is a summation of performance and transparency minus uncertainty. And if you see the way things are going right now, we are heavy on performance, light on transparency, but we're drowning on uncertainty. So today I would like to talk about how observability isn't just about keeping our systems running, it is about keeping them honest. Because as Mike Ashby's ethical regulator theorem tells us, if we don't explicitly design for ethics, we get what I call as an accidental evil AI system that works perfectly, but this is not for everyone. So this isn't because AI is inherently evil. It is because it is like a teenager. It will take the path of least resistance unless clear boundaries are being set.
That's important. I mean, you make a good point, Avi, and that resonates globally because we have learned that if you don't specify a specific cross-jurisdictional government here, you start to get like fragmented systems, and you start to see this, and this is very evident when you try to deploy models and solutions on data and AI across a lot of different frameworks. For example, for the US NIST standards, and you then want to go to the Europe AI Act, and then you want to move into the UAE governance frameworks, and then you switch to Latin America LGBT compliance simultaneously, you start to see that if you don't have a cross understanding and governance requirement from the beginning, you're going to get all these fragmented systems. And you need to understand the data as a whole, not only data points to be processed, to be giving some insights to take decisions, but behind this kind of data points, there's a human story to be told. There's a community, there are people who are going to be affected by decisions on AI systems and data systems, people who are going to be affected to access credit, to access healthcare, to access educational opportunities, and to have opportunities and chances to go into business, right? So this kind of understanding on make sure that you have the context of these communities is important to make sure that these systems and the observability that we're going to be building on top of this are going to preserve human dignity. And that's something that we must discuss. And that's the idea for this session. And not only the human dignity, but also the cultural sovereignty. And it's not a matter only of technical solutions, which we're going to be discussing, but to ensure that we preserve these kind of efforts to maintain not only to say, I'm going to follow, or this system is following, for example, GDPR rules. It's the question to know if this system is going to strengthen or weaken the social fabric of communities that it touches across all continents. So that's my take on that.
Thanks, Teno, for that. I think both of you have touched on a very crucial point that it's not just enough to build an efficient system. We need to build a system that works for all. I think Avi also stressed on that point, and the example, Teno, which you have rightly put on it impacting different humans in their day-to-day life. So I think that's a very strong point. Coming with these tough questions, I think the key part to the answer is observability. As we all will agree, unlike regular softwares, AI models, especially the large language models, are unpredictable. A simple error is one thing, and AI hallucinating or giving a bizarre output is totally other beast. I would like to bring in Dr. Shivani at this point. And Dr. Shivani, if you can explain observability in AI, how it directly enables or enhances these ethical considerations that Teno and Avi has highlighted. What specific technical capabilities fall under AI observability, and why, according to you, are they crucial for ensuring ethical outcomes?
Thanks for having me. It's a wonderful session which is going on, and great to be part of a very relevant topic which is required in today's scenario. I think before Gen AI came into the picture, we were still doing kind of a ethical AI, but the context was very different. Now, when the Gen AI has come into the picture, we have probably gone tenfold behind in terms of how we were defining the ethical AI with before Gen AI solutions and now with Gen AI solutions. So the difference is earlier, no matter how strong the system we have made, even if it is an atom bomb, it required a human trigger to initiate that. But with this, all the AI agents coming to the picture, they have power to take that decision in an automated environment where they are not going to wait for a human. If that kind of level of, you can say, power has given to agent, and that can be multiplied over the period of time. That is one of the biggest reason that this explainability, observability, how much we want to make it clear when we are building these solution to the user and the decision maker, so that when they are taking a call, they are very clear about what can go wrong, and if something goes wrong, where to control. Explainability is the major component in the world which we are facing right now. Till ML model, it was nearly 99% explainable. The time you can say deep learning models came, that 99% probably dropped down to 60 to 70%. Right? We don't get more than that explainability in deep learning model. Now we are at a stage where it is probably 40 to 80%. Right? 90% of the solutions we don't have explainability more than 40%, and maximum we can go extreme 80%, which is still not you can say approachable or reachable in a general scenario. That leaves a lot of question to the places we are using the Gen AI solutions. So it needs to be identified the use case where explainability is required, and how much explainability is required in order for us to make a decision and control the decision as well. So I'll give you two examples. So there are something called rules and guardrails. Rules are a predefined, very strict constraint which cannot be violated, right? Like aviation industry. You want rules. You don't want to give an opportunity or option to a pilot to take a call on a fly, right? Because so many human lives are important, and cost of failure of a decision in airlines industry we have recently seen, right? So that is if the cost of failure is extremely high, you need to have strong rules where uh, AI cannot have a decision making power to 100%. There needs to be some human intervention involved, some expert involved for them to take a decision. But the places where the use case does not have such a high cost of failure, for example, you can say promotion, right? When you are doing a promotion in a store, or you can say in a cricket field or a sports field, the objective of that promotion is to gain more money. If it goes wrong, it is lesser money to be achieved, but it is not going to cost someone's life or something major like that. So in that case, guardrails are pretty good, and that can be considered. So depending on the use case, what you're trying to do, it is important to define the guardrails versus rules, which can be utilized for the further space. And that is must in not only at an industry level, but at a use case level, what I was talking about. So that's my take on the observability part, the explainability part. Bias, we will talk a little later.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Shivani. I actually like the concept. I mean, you took some time to explain the difference between guardrails and rules. I'm sure the viewers would have also had that, it's a blurred line between these two. Thanks for clarifying that. Also, the point which you mentioned about how, as the adoption of AI is increasing, our confidence on those models and those black boxes are going down. At some point, we were 99% sure about what the output is and why it is. But as the adoption is increasing, the confidence level keeps dropping, which is something, as people contributing this industry, something that we should be worried about, and is what we are trying to address over here. On a lighter note, when you mentioned about promotion, I was a little concerned that if it's a promotion within an organization, I would really not want AI to take care of that. Okay, so moving on. So one thing is clear with the discussion we have had so far. These 2 points, observability and AI, they are very deeply intertwined. Okay, we discussed about some of the profound implications of AI taking decisions on its own, and the challenges that are there in balancing innovation with responsibility. While we want to innovate, we also have the moral responsibility to ensure that there is some sort of observability that is built into these models. Okay, the question that comes is how can observability truly bridge that black box, which Dr. Shivani, which you mentioned, that how can proactively help us to how it can proactively help us to mitigate this ethical risk. some of the issues which I mentioned earlier about hallucination, prompt injection, data leakage. Perhaps, Dr. Shivani, if you can, outline some of the industry-wide challenges that is there today.
Very good question. Actually, this is what we are facing in today's environment, where how do we reduce the hallucination and build the solution which are more explainable and little unbiased also, right? The challenge what we have, all these Gen AI solutions which have been come in the market, we don't know the source of data or the level of data it has been utilized. It is not publicly available information, even if you are buying a commercial license. So the underlying data is unexplained to the user who is using these solutions. And when it is hallucinating, what in current scenario, what we are doing, we are going to a bigger model where there are more billion features in order to avoid the situation of running into hallucination. That problem can be avoided by retraining the solution with the data what you have with your industry. So for example, I lead the AI for a cricket team. I am trying to build the data which is very, very relevant to my industry and fine-tuning the model the way I want to see it with my set of data. So I have a bigger model which is trained, for example, Llama or ChatGPT or something similar, but use that and retrain the models with your data, with your, you can say, tagged information, and then fine-tune it on a multiple ways. That is one way to reduce the hallucination and lesser depending on a model which has been developed for probably millions of use cases, but you are only working on 1 or 2 or probably 10 use cases which one can think about. So this is one approach which is pretty good in a Gen AI world. With DL and ML, explainability is still good. Biasness is the bigger problem there, because biasness is if the underlying data itself is biased, right? What we are seeing is, for example, the model is developed for a particular ethnicity, and India itself, right? We are building the model for North Indian region and then utilizing for South Indian region. The behavior of people are very different. The weather itself is very different. The kind of outcome you get is very different. So that biasness is pretty difficult to avoid if we are not considering the bigger chunk of information what we are trying to probably deploy that. And that is the place where unbiasedness come into the picture. There are a lot of ways to remove it. There are known biases which we have around 40 to 50, but there are many, many unknown, where psychologists coming into the picture now. Psychology and AI is going together in a big way, where psychologists are helping us to identify these biases, because data scientists are not capable of doing that. It is a human behavior some has to understand and identify and make sure that that is not giving in the data, and we are trying to do that, right? A very famous example is, whenever you think about a nurse, you always think a female, right? That's not the right
Absolutely.
approach to think about it, right? You're thinking about a CEO, 99% of the time a male person comes into the mind. So that's the human biases what we are already carrying with us for many years. That needs to be removed when we are developing the model, in order for us to get the better results for the future solutions. So those are the things which are common. We don't force ourselves to do that at every stage. Wherever compliance come into the picture, we are very critical about removing or doing these, you can say, checks. But if compliance is not in the place, trust me, 50% of the time we are avoiding it. We are trying to cut short corners and working on it. So it's our duty to make our future solutions much more unbiased, and make sure that it is explainable to an extent depending on the use case. Some use cases require 100% explainability, like a bank loan. When you are trying to give a bank loan to a customer, you have to banking industry is pretty smart, pretty clear that you have to give a reason code for each and every bank loan which you are turning down. There you build only ML models are allowed. No DL, no Gen AI solutions work there, because the explainability is there. But other places where the explainability is not 100%, we are taking shortcuts. We are taking the use of the best technology which is available, which is helping us to solve many problems. So it is Problem to problem, one has to identify what is more important. Solving a problem is more important, or solving a problem with explainability is more important.
Yeah, I think, again, you have highlighted a very a good point about how biased. So many people, that we are not able to again differentiate between the bias that is there in ML models and the kind of hallucination that is there from Gen AI. But the example which you have given has made it very clear in everyone's mind. So thank you for that. Teno, I would like to just bring you in as Dr. Shivani mentioned about the ethical difference that is there over here within India, and how that can be shown or that can propagate into the bias in the data. Would you want to add on top of it, more from a cross America's perspective?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the black box, this is a global problem. That's something that is across different communities, different cultures. For example, as Dr. Shivani was mentioning about the bias, you have seen that, for example, in the United States, there's been some algorithm bias that affected minorities in the sense of hiring processes. In Europe, for example, the GDPR effort, the right to explanation, came because there was some opaque or dark automated decisions that systems were doing, and they needed to explain to make sure that everyone understand. And also, for example, in UAE, you see that there's an emphasis into the cultural sensitivity to understand communities, to make sure that is aligned to specific system of beliefs, which are different from the rest of the world. So you need to make sure that we have in our observability systems, we include a cross-cultural explanation system, basically to make sure that every AI decision that we do here, everyone in any place in the world can understand what is behind those decisions. So, for example, a farmer in the United States needs to understand why an insurance was denied based on, I don't know, soil data or weather patterns, for example. Or if you work as a tech expert in Europe, you need to understand how decisions are going to affect your democratic rights, And in Latin America, if you are a teacher, you need to, or the systems need to talk your same language. You need to make sure that teachers in Latin America understand how this system affects, and the system are aware on how the local educational priorities are understood in that specific region. And so we see here that beyond the challenge of explaining individual decisions, we also have something that it's called like a global regulatory drift. And it's basically not a series of events that are not isolated by themselves. You can see, for example, that in the US, the executive order was established to generate new federal AI standards. But then, if you see Europe, the AI Act was implemented and was updated. And then you see that the UAE updated the national AI strategy. And then you see, for example, in countries such as Colombia and Latin America, that the government also established rules and data rights for indigenous communities. So they're not regulatory events that are isolated by themselves. They create this ripple effect across global AI systems. And these systems needs to make sure that they can detect these changes and respond to them as quick as they can in real time, if possible. So there's a different view, or it's mentioned, a global problem that we have in here, and we need to make sure that our system are going to complain in a cross-cultural fashion. So that's the vision from a different place.
That's a good point, Tenno. I'm actually loving the examples that are coming in. Um, some more practical, tangible, like loan processing, insurance processing, and some which are more humane and touching the human aspect about, ensuring, again, coming back to the main point, that ensuring that the system built and the is it works for everyone and not for a selected group of people. I think that's really good. Avi, would you want to kind of just maybe talk on some of the internal initiatives that is there on the ML and other things which touch on the same topic about ethics over here?
Absolutely, Jyothish. I think as Dr. Shivani and Tanu has mentioned, I think we are more concerned about hallucination than bias. Also, because I mean, say as human beings, there's a lot of bias, inherent bias that we might or might not be aware of. So if I go back to the theoretical aspect, right? I mean, I spoke about the Mike Ashby's 9 principles of building an AI system, which is both you know performant and this thing, right? But then the first 6 principles of those are only focusing on how you build systems which are more effective, not ethical. The truly game-changing three are the last ones, which are basically often considered as optional extras, which are focusing on ethics, integrity, and transparency. So it's like think of it as a beautiful car, which showcases how efficiently it works and functions and how smoothly it handles. But ethics and integrity and transparency are like the airbags, the anti-lock brakes, and kind of the clear windshield, which are like the non-negotiable for safe, responsible operation to happen. And this is exactly where I think we have been talking about observability as the core of this ecosystem. I believe observability is nothing but the nervous system of building an AI system which is much more ethical. Now, as similar to a nervous system of a human being, right? I mean, it need to alert us when the pain occurs before a serious damage occurs, right? And that's exactly how an AI system should also work in. If you see, traditional approaches where what I call as a ethics theater was mostly in terms of checking boxes on compliance forms, while our models were quietly amplifying historical biases in production. But real ethical AI requires something is what I term as triple tag telemetry, where every detection or a decision must be tracked for performance, fairness, and compliance simultaneously. This cannot be an afterthought. It has to be while the decisions are being taken. And again, going back to my previous example of a self-driving car, you wouldn't just monitor whether it reaches the destination. You would track if it follows the traffic laws, respects pedestrian rights, and doesn't systematically avoid certain neighborhoods. And that is the level of ethical observability we would need. So again, it's just to conclude, it's a drift detection is not just technical; it is also moral, where model behavioral shifts can not only cause performance issues, it is also a potential justice issue, where every anomaly alert could be flagging the moment your AI starts treating people unfairly.
Let me add to
Yeah,
some
sure.
examples. Avi has stated that you're reaching the destination is important, but how you're reaching his journey is also important. Are you following the laws and governance of the system? I'll give you an example where the same has a different meaning to it. So we have developed a solution which we call it AI doctor, which has capability to diagnose a disease by just asking a couple of questions by a chatbot. If you think about that usable use case in an urban population where tons and tons of doctors are available, I don't think we would like to utilize that, because it will not give you explainability, it will not give you how it is arriving to the solution, and it may fail at a certain point where the complex situations are there. Where so the population which is catered at an urban area requires a lot of other things rather than just performance. But think about using that solution to a third tier, you can say, village in India where there is no primary health care available. I don't think people are going to be worried about explainability. People are going to be worried about how did you arrive to the decision, because there is no other alternate available. Same problem statement, both the cases, but one population requires explainability, other population will just respect it because they don't have anything as a, you can say, solution B for them to rely on. So that also needs to be taken care of at some point of time, that what kind of population you are catering to. Is it really required for you to solve these problems, which are important but can be ignored, seeing bigger problem as a picture? And that's the place I think Gen AI is helping us big time. That's the positive part of it, that we are able to solve a lot of problems which no one has thought that it could be solved. Yes, it is unexplainable to the extent, yes, it is. It can be unethical. We don't know the extent it is going and solving it. But if it is solving the problems where it can save lives, it can do justice to social work, etc. I think one should be considerate of adopting those also. So Tanos was giving example of agriculture, right? If I'm able to give a right, you can say, a right solution to a farmer, one would like to know how you have arrived to that, you can say, suggestion also. But if a farmer is losing crop on a year-on-year basis, we are not able to give justice to doing by explainable models and all. I think people won't mind going for a model which is giving probably 90% plus accuracy, because other solutions have failed miserably in that space. So sometimes what we are solving, what is the current state of that particular industry or that problem also matters. Delta matters a lot, that where you are today and how do you want to go to the next level. I'm in this industry for nearly 20 years. Every time I go and present a new solution to a customer, every time they say, what is accuracy? Everyone wants to have 99% accuracy, but also needs to be thought about where you are today. If you are at 50%, even 70% accuracy is great to start with, because it is going to uplift your solutions, uplift the stage where you are in. But if that 70% is going to cause more problem, as I was talking about, cost of failure, that needs to be considered also. So these are not you can say binary 0 1 kind of a thing which you need to worried about, that okay, you need to be ethical, you need to be much more accurate from accuracy perspective, your hallucination should be less. But overall, as a business problem, when you're solving, one has to think with several aspects, keeping AI explainability also in mind, but also the result of what you are going to use this solution for, how explainable is explainability even needed, right? If it is not needed, one should think about, if it is it is helping someone to save lives, one should go about it.
Yeah. So I think that's a great example, especially the doctor example which you gave, Dr. Shivan. That's really great. I mean, it shows that how the same system can be perceived in different manner by different audience. So that one is really good. Thank you. Dr. Shivan, for the data scientists and ML engineers who are there in our audience, what are some of the actionable practical steps that they can take today to integrate ethical considerations and observability into their daily workflow? More like getting our hands dirty into the ethical AI.
See, I think a couple of points which we do it as a cautionary measure, but not as a mandatory measure, right? For example, checking the bias in the data. I don't think I have done it myself on a regular basis, checking the data biased as a first starting principle, rather than doing that once my model is already up and I have to send that to the compliance team. So I think that's, I myself have that kind of a bias where I don't need to worry about it on a first step, but that needs to be taken care as we are growing more into the data which, or the models which are being developed on a very large data which we don't have any clarity Gen AI perspective. So one has to be very clear about being a data which is unbiased. Second, when we are doing the model explainability, if we are building a ML model, explainability is automatically comes with it. DL, one has to try and see how much explainable it is and how is that connected with the outcome and the cost of failure. That can be that should complement each other rather than conflicting each other. Other things which we don't do, or probably from when we are doing a monitoring of the process. Now, when you are working on these GenAI solution, your ChatGPT series, when you are switching from one generation to next generation, how you are monitoring your solution, how you are creating that ethical boundaries with the upgrade of a solution from GPT 4 to 4.5, that also needs to be considered whenever you are switching the gears. So those are the basic principles what one has to be worried about in today's environment, and not to be ignorant and not to take care of these things when something is probably flashing a red alert. So these things needs to be incorporated in your day-to-day solutioning process, where monitoring or upgrade or you can say those things can be taken care on a regular basis.
Thank you. So I think for today we have covered a lot of ground. Right from starting defining the core concepts to understanding the technical challenges, and as you have just now highlighted, some of the immediate actions that people can take who are in trying to build AI solutions. Just moving on, I just want to I would want each one of you to quickly share what each one of you think is the path forward, the roadmap for the future in this area, and then maybe give a concluding message or what you would want the audience to go away with today. Starting with Aviv, you.
Sure. So I think we have covered a good ground, Jyothish, as you mentioned. So I mean, for me, I would share three concrete recommendations. I think first one is to, I mean, without getting cases, no observability equal to no ethics principle, where ethical monitoring should be non-negotiable as security monitoring. For example, would you deploy a system without firewalls? If not, why would you deploy an AI system without bias detection, for example? Second is we need to embrace regulatory observability. Tenorio mentioned about the EU AI Act. It shouldn't just be a compliance theater. In fact, it's an opportunity for us to build observability that serves both regulation and responsibility. Turn those abstract requirements into measurable signals, right? And then third one would be to basically think beyond the organization, where we need to have industry-wide ethical observability standards. Like AI system which is reported standard fairness metrics to public dashboards. Think of it as how the nutrition labels are being labeled onto the food packages. Transparency creates, and that's exactly how transparency creates accountability, and accountability drives for improvement. So basically, I would leave the audience with a couple of thoughts, which is mostly in terms of we stand in a unique moment today in the history where we can still choose to be the ethical DNA of our AI future, where we can build systems that don't just work but works right. But the question isn't whether AI will transform society; it is already doing so. The question is whether we will build a nervous system, right, to ensure that transformation serves everyone fairly. As I like to say, great AI isn't just intelligent, it is responsible, and responsibility without observability, which is the core foundation of this, is just a hope and a prayer, right? The future I envision is AI systems that are not just powerful, but provably fair, where bias is detected in milliseconds, not in months, where ethical behavior is as measurable as, similar to system uptime. So I think let's build AI with which all of us can trust, not just because it works, but because we can see how it works and for whom it works.
Over to you, Dr. Shivani.
Wonderful points which Avi has raised about multiple aspects. I think one thing which caught my attention was in Spider-Man movie, the famous dialogue, right? That great power comes with great responsibility. That's the space we are in. unless we create a system which is going to be responsible enough for future, we will have a lot of issues with the next generation not able to handle AI. The kind of movies we are seeing today, how much AI can destroy overall future. If we are not able to create those rules and guardrails clearly for each and every industry, each and every type of AI we are using, we can lead to some of the issues what we see in current movies. I don't see that it is going to happen immediately, but if we lose the opportunity to create those guardrails and rules very, very strongly, we can lead to, or we can give a leeway for AI to overpower it. Just one more example. When ChatGPT came into the picture, someone tried to utilize that to capture the captcha. Capturing captcha is not easy. None of the robot is able to do it. What ChatGPT did it? It went to a human agency which was able to convert captcha by itself. And when that agency asked, "Are you a robot?" It declined. It said, "No, I'm a human." So it has, when you give the power to these solutions, it has capability to manipulate the system by its own as well. So then it's a guardrail versus the, you can say, rules are extremely important where you are utilizing it, because these systems have agents where they can take decisions on the fly and able to manipulate the system what we have been running for many, many years. So I think we are at a good stage where we have to strengthen these solutions with good intervention of human logic, human, you can say, psychological aspect, and utilizing AI as a tool rather than giving authority for AI to take all the decisions.
Take on that is like organizations should pioneer this global people first AI governance, putting human dignity in the center across all the different regions and continents. We have seen that all these regulatory frameworks emphasize on the human AI collaboration, for example, in the United States. In Europe, we talk about fundamental rights protection. In UAE, we talk about cultural heritage and sovereignty. And then in Latin America, we talk about a lot of community consent. So all these efforts are complementary to each other. And we need to ensure, as Dr. Shivani was mentioning, that we enhance the human agency and that we preserve also cultural identity and make sure that we create a prosperous communities around the systems and around the solutions that are going to be generating during this time. So we should ask ourselves if these AI systems are going to make people more free or prosperous and connected to their own heritage and regardless of the geography. So it's important for me, like, to have for the future on the upcoming times, to have probably a global AI ethics observatory network where we can democratize AI accountability in worldwide. That will help to make sure that everyone around the world can understand how these decisions of these agents or this AI solution or data solution are going to affect, for example, educational fundings or application to business or economic decisions that are going to affect these communities. And this will ensure for a transparency, global transparency effort. And for sure, this will serve people across the world. It's not that it will only serve the ones that created the systems, but it will serve for everyone around the world. So this real ethics it has a meaning, like real people worldwide should have real power over AI affecting their lives.
Thank you, Teno. So in the interest of time, maybe we'll just take one or two questions. So there is one question about does government or companies which are influential, do they build the AI rules? So as Teno and Avi has mentioned, So AI rules, definitely companies have their own AI manifesto. Globant also has, we have our own AI manifesto. And then there are countries like, European Union and America who are built. In fact, India itself also has their own AI rules. Maybe we can just quickly, talk on that. But yes, countries, regions, and then plus companies specifically also have their umbrella guidelines to cover this. Avi, you want to just quickly add on to that?
I think you mentioned this pretty clearly, Jyothish. I think most of the countries right now are working towards finding, a balance between how they can, eliminate those biases across multiple systems, which are working across the board. See, it's a tough contextual continental question to answer, and that's where most of the regulatory bodies are wanted to make sure that they're able to have a fine balance in terms of performance, transparency, and making the systems more responsible. So I think responsibility is something which is absolutely non-negotiable, and that's exactly where I think countries like India is also not leaving behind, and we are also moving forward in that direction.
Sure. So just to conclude, so one thing is clear that responsible AI is a continuous effort. It's not a one-time fix. We all need to embrace the technical challenges of observability, and let's collectively build AI systems that are not just intelligent, but also ethical and truly trusted. Our own platform like Global Enterprise AI are key enablers in this journey. Let's make AI awesome and responsible. So thank you everyone for joining this session. Thank you, Avi, Dr. Shivani, and Teno for the insightful discussion on ethics and observability in AI. We hope this session inspires you to build responsible AI systems. Enjoy the rest of the event, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.